Angry Bears Fan Podcast episode 65. Took a week off, really just nothing going on. After a pretty exciting 3 months of the Bears being the number one topic, it's kind of,
It's
we all
died
know,
down a little bit.
yeah, we all know Caleb's a pick. Um, I guess what we do at number nine is a big story in Chicago, but the Bears aren't dominating the national headlines anymore. Um, and Ryan Poles came out, said some interesting stuff about how they're going to go about um, discussing and debating what they should do at nine. Should they trade back? What players should they target? Had a few interesting visits this week, so
Yeah,
a
there's
little
some
bit of stuff to
smoke
go over.
around there's some smoke around trading up as well for Marvin Harrison Jr. Who knows if that's actually the case? There's been a whole bunch of stuff, just kind of small tidbits of information here and there. We really don't know. We can only speculate till 12 more days, and then it's draft season, draft time. That's about as close to midway through the off season as we could possibly get. I know we got 4 more months, and then we have the Hall of Fame game. Um, OTAs are coming up, mandatory
We
OTAs.
might be on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, there's talk about them not being able to pass up on Hard Knocks. They might actually have to do it. So I'd watch it. No shit. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be real exciting. Like you said though, we all know Caleb's pick at number one. Chicago was his only top 30 visit. He didn't go anywhere else. So that's pretty much set in stone. But
Yeah,
like you said,
Bears didn't talk to any other quarterbacks either, so
no, that number nine pick is really where um, our focus will be at leading up to the draft. Like you said, there was some interesting visits. Marvin Harrison Jr. was one. He had a top 30 visit. A lot of the other guys that we mentioned came in for top 30 visits as well, including the two edges, Roma Dudense, Marvin Harrison Jr. Um,
the
I'm
dude who
forgetting
ran
who.
the fastest 40, he came through.
Yeah,
Um, Few trade down candidates, guys that definitely we wouldn't pick at nine. So just doing their due diligence.
and you have to. You
Yeah,
absolutely
just
have
because if somebody is hot in the pants for Penix or JJ McCarthy slides, it kind of you might be forced to trade back just to get the assets. I'm right now. I've got my heart set on a blue chip player, like we talked about. I like Alt, really like Dallas Turner. I'm not a fan of Roman Dude, but I could live with that pick. But I don't I just like drafts aren't as deep as they used to be anymore. So it's like I think it's going more back to old school where you're going to be getting all your talent in the first and the second round, and that's about it. So unless we're getting, like I said, unless like we're getting 11 and 23 from the Vikings or something like that, or 2 seconds or something, I don't really see the value in passing up on one of these guys with so many quarterbacks going in the top 10. We're going to get a really good guy. I think Dallas Turner is a game changer. I think if Joe Alt falls to us, I think he's generational. The other tackle isn't too bad himself. I'm not big on project guys, but he's a beast and he's got ties to Caleb as well. So we'll see what they do. When Ryan Pace talk or Ryan Poles talks, I get the feeling he wants to trade back. I think he likes to do trades. I think he likes the excitement in the draft. And like we led off with, we're set in stone at one. So the only thing he's got to play with this offseason is nine.
to. Yeah, I mean, Ryan Ryan Poles is like you said, he likes the excitement of the draft, but like you said, and I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, this year's draft is a little bit different because there's not a ton of underclassmen in this year's draft. So a lot of your blue chip prospects, like you said, the high end talent guys, it's not as deep, are going to be taken in the first 2 rounds. If you have an opportunity to come out of this first round, if your whole draft is just Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr., that's a pretty damn good draft,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yes.
So if that's the route he decides to go, then I'm okay with that. You still have, a couple of day two and day three picks. I think he's got 4 picks total right now. And that's, if he realistically, to move up in order to get Marvin Harrison Jr., you're going to have to give up one of your twos next year, whether it be yours or Carolina's. And if it's Carolina's, if you're, like I said, if you're coming out of this draft with both Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr., then I'm all for it.
Or
Uh,
neighbors. I guess he didn't visit with us, but I don't know. I really don't want to trade up. I like Marvin Harrison Jr., but like he kind of soured on me with not doing anything. Like, okay, it's one thing to okay, I'm not gonna run, but I thought it was really shitty of him not to participate in anything because it kind of fucked over the third and fourth round picks. You know what I mean? The guys that were going to be at the pro day at Ohio State, he kind of fucked those guys over. By just flat out not doing anything. If he would just showed up and like, all right, I'm going to run routes, that's just a big help for the other guys on the team. And
100%.
that's just small stuff where it's like, I don't know, that was a really selfish thing to do. Um, and I don't know if I want to. I want to win. I don't want to be. And like I've been harping, whoever it is, even if it's Marvin Harrison Jr., he's going to be the fourth or fifth option on the offense. So is he going to be okay taking a back seat to Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, or are DJ Moore and Keenan Allen going to be okay taking a back seat to him? Like, so I don't know how he was acting like a prima donna in the offseason. I don't know how well he'll fit in. Um, I think we have to go defense. Or O line. I think we have to get the pass rush. Like, what if Sweat gets hurt? We're fucked. If Keenan Allen gets hurt, we still got DJ Moore, number one wide receiver. You know what I mean? We won't have super depth, but we have 2,000-yard receivers, and we can roll with it. But if Sweat gets hurt, we're done. And it's just nice to have two edge rushers, and we haven't had a vicious pass rush in a while, and we need to get back to that. That's how you succeed.
Yeah, what was it, 2018 when we lost to the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, Matt
That
was it Mac
was,
Floyd.
yeah, that, I mean, the two things that people always talk about is quarterback and being able to attack the quarterback. And if you don't, like you said, if Montez Sweat gets hurt, it's going to be like weeks 1 through 7 all over again. And those were those were rough. The defense really struggled. The addition of Montez Sweat really helped, especially in that secondary, because while those guys are good, you can't cover somebody for 6, 7 seconds. You just can't do it. Regardless of how good of a defensive back you are, you cannot cover a guy for 6 or 7 seconds and expect nobody to be open. You just can't. And that's the problem. And I see where you're coming from on that. And I would agree with you that we need that second edge. We'll see, I guess, what happens with, post June 1st cuts and
Yeah,
all this
like
other
I
stuff.
was
Maybe we
really
pick up a wide
hoping
receiver.
he got one veteran DN in the offseason, so it kind of put us in a great position and like not be super desperate. But as it all lays right now, we cannot come out of this draft without an edge rusher that's gonna at least rush on third down, like and be productive. Like even if it's not Dallas Turner, we have to get somebody who's gonna step in and help.
When did we sign Yannick Ngakoue last year? Wasn't it just before training camp
Yeah, it
started?
was later. It was after. It was after the draft. I
So
mean,
maybe they
I'd
do.
be okay to see him come back. I think he was a good specialist. He played a lot more than being a specialist for us last year, but we were so undermanned, kind of had to. But I'd be fine with him. Like if Poles would have re-signed him, or I would have been comfortable with doing whatever in the draft, just going best player available. But like I said, it's hard to pass up on at the end when all we got is Sweat, and he's nice, but we locked him up for a long time, so we're not gonna be able to pay another one. So we got to get our other ones got to be young.
Yeah, so it looks like the Bears signed him on August 4th. So that was literally like a week and a half before the season started, the
Oh yeah,
preseason. So maybe I don't know, maybe he'd pull something like that again if we
yeah.
don't,
Wait,
whatever position we don't get in the draft, maybe he does something like that again. He pulls, somebody off the street within a week or two before the season starts. But of course, there's always downside to that too because you talk about it a lot. Football isn't just a game of talent. It's about chemistry, and you want those guys to be working together as long as possible, which is why OTAs are important. Off-season workouts, stuff like that. You want the camaraderie of the locker room to be strong heading into the season. And if you sign a guy off the street, a week or two before the season starts, you kind of lose out on that chemistry a little bit. Talent can only take you so far. You got to be able to play your role. You got to, you know what I'm saying? You got to be able to
Yeah.
know your teammates' tendencies and everything else like that. I know, especially on the defensive line. So, and I know a lot of our viewers, they have experience in football, they have experience in sports in general. But speaking as a former defensive lineman, I always had a tendency, especially in high school. I knew because my defensive line, it was always Michael Koulis. I was always lined up with Michael Koulis. I don't know if you remember Michael Koulis.
Oh yeah.
Um, he was a freak of nature, and he was kind of undersized, but he was always so amped, right? And one of his biggest downfalls was that he always took his edge too wide. So instead of kind of collapsing and coming off the tackle shoulder, he would, even though he would line up in the five, it's almost like he would go into like a wide seven. He would constantly just keep taking it wide and wide and wide. I knew that about him constantly. So I kind of tried to do what I could to close that gap as much as possible, knowing that he took himself too wide. But that was just from practicing together and,
Yeah.
years of playing together. We played together in high school, we played together in juniors, you know what I'm saying? So he just had that tendency for years and years. And those are the things that you pick up on when you play with people for a certain amount of time and you kind of understand that. And I feel like that's almost as important as talent in general, is knowing your teammates and what your teammates' tendencies are. Do they tend to wash down the defensive line
Yeah, you're
more
actually
than
right.
they
It's like
should? That's why
not pass
linebackers
rushing.
are
It's
so
like you
important as
rush
well.
together. I think the Ravens
Absolutely.
do a good example of that where they all rush together. They know like, okay, he's gonna rush this way, so and we're all just gonna collapse the pocket on the quarterback instead of somebody trying to play hero ball and beat their guy clean. They all stick to their principles, and again, that's something that comes with everybody being there at OTAs, a training camp, preseason, and that's like I said, I wanted them to sign somebody, but now we're like, I get like I said, Joe Alt would be nice. That's my number one who I want, but um,
I don't think he's making it past Tennessee.
I don't either, and Braxton Jones is serviceable. I think he's more than serviceable. So it's not a super need. I just think he's really good. And I think to give us some flexibility, I think Braxton Jones will be fine at guard. If not, he's a backup swing tackle, somebody a trade candidate. Maybe we can get a pick for him. Something like that. But I really don't want to Dudense. He seems like a good kid, and I'm sure he's nice, but I don't
Who?
want a Dunze.
Oh, Dudense.
And
Okay.
I just don't want to waste the number 9 pick on, like I said, the fourth or fifth option on our offense. I mean, yeah, he's the future or whatever, but we're in win now right now. So I don't want to be making too many future picks.
I get that, but well, like I said, we'll see what happens. My feeling on it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a wide receiver, whether it be one of the three, either Harrison Jr., Adunze, or Malik Neighbors. Obviously, Adunze's third on my list, as I'm sure he is on a lot of other people's lists as well. Um, but with Keenan Allen right now still not having an extension signed, even if it's an extra year or whatever the case may be, you can't go into next year with DJ Moore and Tyler Scott. You just can't do it. So having a blue chip wide receiver in your system for a year, if Keenan Allen decides to walk away at the end of the year to step in next to DJ Moore, would be that you're kind of looking for that, especially with a wide receiver that could grow with a rookie quarterback if you can't get that offensive lineman. Um, but I know where you're coming from and I see what you're saying, but I do like the idea of building a rapport between a rookie quarterback and a rookie wide receiver. Same thing with a rookie quarterback and a rookie tackle. Um,
I
but
mean,
I
why
just
can't it
don't
be
think.
Tyler Scott? Like, I mean, he was a little off, but I mean, Justin's gone, and that wasn't his strong suit to be the fourth or fifth option of Justin Fields. Like, you weren't just going to get a lot of balls. That might be different in the new offense, and I don't know. I think we got to trust our growth and
Here's my
stuff.
thing. Tyler, like I know receivers that were late round gems. We talked about Stephon Diggs. He was picked in like the fourth round or whatever. But we kind of saw flashes from those guys, those rookies, that rookie season from the guys that were picked later that turned out to be superstars, so to speak. And I'm pretty sure Stephon Diggs' quarterback when he was drafted wasn't it Teddy Bridgewater. So you still kind of saw that with a lower, less than average quarterback. He still showed flashes. I haven't really seen flashes from Tyler Scott. I mean, he's fast, but we've seen him drop a couple of balls this past season that hit him right in the breadbasket. I
That
mean,
I agree. I don't know, like Marvin Harrison Jr. would be nice, or Neighbors, or even a Dudense. But if we come out of this draft, we don't have a DN. I think trouble's not the word. I just think that's we took an L in the offseason, some portions of the offseason. Obviously, a lot of other things went well for us, but I think we do need to get back to DN. I know we're transitioning to the new age of the NFL, but we still need some of the old school Bears mentality and focus on our defense. Now's the time.
absolutely.
Yeah, like we got Caleb on his rookie contract. That was what we got this for. So now's the time. We've been hyping polls up. Everybody has, but he let Daniil Hunter and a plethora of other quality DNs, and we had the money to spend slip through our hands.
Well, we all know just from watching, he has a plan, and he's not one really to deviate from his plan. So when it all comes full circle, we'll be able to judge. This will be his make or break moment. I think we can all agree on that. The trading of Justin, going with Caleb, this is his legacy defining draft. So if you hit on this pick, if you hit on this draft, if you 1-9, or if you decide to trade back, whatever the case may be, whatever you do, right? It's not going to matter if the quarterback doesn't hit. If you miss on the quarterback, you could have drafted Randy Moss with number 9. Nobody's going to give a fuck. They're all going to look at what you did at number 1. And that's why this is going to be huge. This is
Uh,
going to be franchise changing, franchise altering, and
the more
we
Caleb tape I watch, I'm feeling comfortable. Like I think I know they're going generational, blah blah blah, this and that, but I think we should expect basically what Trevor Lawrence has been, and I think just slightly above average is worse what we'll see from Caleb. The team around him, the energy, the chemistry, I think that'll take us to the next level. But like I said, I got my Justin Field goggles off, and like I said, I never thought Caleb was generational, but just looking at a play, I think we can expect a lot of like what Trevor Lawrence did, goofy mistakes. He fumbles a lot too. It's like, and that's like I said all last season with Justin too. The fumbles never got to me; they were just really inopportune, which sucked. But when you start to look at the stats, a lot of the quarterbacks fumble similar to Justin, and they get hit a lot less than him. So I expect him to be something like Trevor Lawrence is, and if our team plays up to par, like I think we can make a splash in MC. It's not that strong. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers are tough. They're a super team, but they're beatable. The Eagles, they are very beatable. They lost a lot of people. Cowboys lost a lot of people. Everybody's getting older, and there's room for a young team to step in the NFC because all the
well,
real good teams are in the AFC.
well, that's what I'm saying. What sucks is that we have 2 teams ahead of us in the NFC in our own division that are young and they're better, and they've gotten better this past off season, and their drafts are going to directly affect how our season goes as
Yeah.
well, because a lot of people gave Detroit a lot of shit last year for their draft, right? Um, they picked the running back at 12. They picked Jack Campbell at 20, or whatever their second pick was, and they just everybody's like, oh, what is Detroit doing? Blah 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 blah. And look at them. They picked who they wanted, guys that would fit their system, and they made it work. And they're just gonna get better. Same thing with Green Bay. As much shit as we talk about Green Bay, and as much as we hate Green Bay, Jordan Love, the first 6, 7 games of the season was below average, but they still managed to hover around 500. And then the last half of the season, he just took off and he played really good football. Um, and that's a team where you have Jordan Love and you don't have a first round wide receiver anywhere on that roster. You have their best wide receiver is Christian Watson. He was picked in the second round last year. No, 2 years ago. He was picked in the second round 2 years ago. So, a lot of guys, the Tavion Wicks, nobody even knew who the fuck he was. and all of a sudden, he put on a couple of 100-yard games throughout this, at the end of the tail end of the season or whatever. It's just it boggles my minds that some of these teams just come up
Packers
with
draft and player develop better than almost everybody.
it's ridiculous. It's
They
absolutely ridiculous.
they don't rely on free agents. They're guys they draft guys who almost always turn into starters, if not instantly, very soon down the line. And I've always said, the Bears could take plenty of notes to what the Packers are doing. And yeah, I agree. Packers are young. We'll see. We got a quarterback now, hopefully. So hopefully we can fight them. I've never been a huge Lions guy. I know they're doing good, and you could call me a hater or whatever, but I just don't like. Even when we're terrible, we split with the Lions. Like we go blow for blow with the Lions. Um, so
If
that
we
just
could
gives me,
play every team like we played Detroit,
yeah.
we would be
Same
a
with like
really
the
good football
Vikings.
team.
Like even when the Vikings are good, we go blow for blow with them. The Packers just always seem to just push our shit in. But that has got to change, or I mean, Eberflus will be out of here. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no. April 25th can't come fast enough. 12 more days. I'm excited. I
Yeah,
can't
I'm
wait.
very excited. I guess we'll do a short one this week. Next week we will do our mocks. I really haven't been doing them many. I've just been thinking, but we'll
I've been
do.
doing a couple,
Yeah,
and realistically, like this is gonna sound so bad, but literally, the only thing we can really talk about is Chicago Bears football right now because the White Sox are the worst baseball team I have ever seen. Legitimately, the worst baseball team I have ever seen. I don't know what is going on the South Side. I think they have 2 wins the entire season. They're like 2-10.
yeah.
The Cubs are gonna Cubs. We talked about the Cubs last year a little bit, and we said that they were probably a fringe playoff team last year, which they were. They almost made it. This year they're probably gonna make it. They're a much better baseball team. The Hawks are the Hawks. The only thing worth watching right now is Connor Bedard, and he's having a historic rookie season. So he is playing really well. That broken jaw kind of took him out of action for a while, but now that he's back, the buzz around him, the Blackhawks are still going around. And I just found this out. This is kind of fucked up. So, real quick, with the White Sox, we talked about how bad they were. Last year, they had a top 10 pick because of the anti tanking rules in Major League Baseball. The teams that do not participate in the revenue sharing, like in terms of getting money from the league, which include the White Sox, they cannot have back to back top 10 picks, which means they can finish with the worst record in baseball this year, and they will not have a top 10 pick because of the anti-tanking rules in baseball. How fucked up is that?
Well, how do they describe anti-tanking? Like, it doesn't even make sense to me. Like,
It's
they're just bad. Like, and we had a lot of crazy.
language.
We had a
Uh,
lot of injuries too. It's not like they're doing like
I don't
weird
know,
stuff.
but they are ineligible, so they're gonna suck. And the Bulls are mediocre,
Yeah, the
and that's
Bulls. The
about
curse of
as
being the
good as
Bulls.
that's ever going to get for the Bulls is
Yeah,
mediocre
maybe
because we
get out of the
allow it.
play-in.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Bulls. We'll see. They're gonna end up with DeRozan again. It's like I don't know what the hell the Bulls are gonna do.
I don't know. What do you even do? You can't even blow it up because the contracts that you gave out are
Yeah,
just
well, Zach
absolutely
Levine. Nobody wants Zach Levine anymore.
no. DeMar DeRozan is 30, what, 34, 35 years old. He's getting up there. You can't do anything with, you know,
I mean, Kobe re-signed, but
I
he's just
forget
like
his
a
fucking name. It's
Pat
like
Will.
it's so frustrating. And your only good players right now, like in terms of a future that you have, are Kobe White and
Caruso.
well, Kobe White.
Uh,
So what do you what do you do, man? Like it's just Io DeSumo is pretty good. I will give him that. He's developing
he's a
really
backup
well.
point guard though. He's not. I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, so was Jimmy Butler for the first 4 years of his career. I'm not saying Io DeSumo is going to be Jimmy Butler, but Io DeSumo was also a second round pick. Jimmy Butler was picked at the end of the first round. Their career paths are kind of in a similar trajectory right now. Obviously, Jimmy Butler is who he is, but you know, Io's okay. He's a piece that you can use for a young team, but with the rest of this roster, it's just what the hell is there? There's nothing. It's trash.
They have to hope somebody gets a hard on for Zach LaVine in the offseason. That's their only hope of turning this around anytime in the next like 5 years.
We're turning into the Knicks post Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're turning into. And
You
it's
see Tibbs just killing it as the Knicks coach. They should have never let Tibbs leave.
Jalen Brunson is so good.
He's from Illinois, right? Too.
Huh?
I know he's Mr. Basketball in Illinois. Jalen
Yeah.
Brunson.
Yeah. Jalen Brunson is so good.
Yeah, he's been killing. All right. We will do mock drafts next week. Like, follow, subscribe, please. I know it's been kind of boring the last few weeks, but said nothing much to talk about.
No, we just had to show our faces really and just kind of ensure
I'm trying to stay consistent.
everybody that we're still alive.
All
So
right. I will talk to you soon, buddy, and we'll see you guys next week with the mock drafts.